I did not take a hiatus. It's not true. It's bullshit. I did not take it. I did not. Oh, hi, YouTube. What can I say about Tommy Wiseau's The Room? It's hilarious, awful in ways you can barely imagine if you haven't seen it for yourself, and it's one of my favorite movies for that reason. If you somehow have missed it by now, you need to go see it. And as mandatory supplementary material, Greg Sestero's The Disaster Artist is also mandatory. It gives a truly fascinating look into the film's production and Tommy Wiseau's person that makes him, dare I say it, inspirational. And there's a movie adaptation coming out soon.
What line? What line?
Now, I was getting all dressed up to go play football with the guys, but I guess I got the time to talk about another celebration of the film in The Room Tribute. Just gotta get my computer set to analyze the quality of the game. This is a Flash game by Newgrounds creator Tom Fulp as an April Fool's joke in 2010, the same way Adult Swim used to show the movie as a joke that same night. He did it purely to show his love for the movie, and it clearly shows, a passion dripping from every facet of the game. Lovingly exaggerated caricatures of the actors, some damn impressive recreations of the sets, retrofied versions of the soundtrack provided by the one and only Oni, and various scenes not present in the movie filled in with the exact same style, or lack thereof. The game comes recommended if you're a fan of the movie just for that, pulling you right back into this insane world. Perfect marks on effort and presentation. But this is a game after all, so we do need to consider the gameplay. Obviously, it's not going to be deep or intricate, it is a Flash game, so keep your expectations at a reasonable level. I mean, your expectations for the arts are already rock bottom after witnessing Wiseau acting, directing, writing, and producing. It's a point-and-click adventure game, but not in the LucasArts or Sierra sense, honestly more akin to The Walking Dead and Telltale's recent efforts. Just hear me out. There's no puzzle solving or inventory management, only the bare minimum while primarily being about the story. Speaking of the story, it's exactly as you expect it with a few noteworthy additions. For example, it starts off with a standard San Fran earthquake destroying everything while leaving Johnny's life intact, which explains why the characters never go anywhere. Even nature doesn't want to hurt such a good and pure man. If you take the time to explore the world instead of being railroaded home, you'll not only find every location from the movie, with a random Back to the Future reference thrown in there, but see Mr. Fulp knew where the humor was supposed to be. This is going to be difficult for me, so let me try and explain. He's not making fun of the movie. That's easy enough to do. That's what you go to Nostalgia Critic or Riff Tracks for. This comes from a legitimate respect, a true love for The Room. Stuff like Lisa Park, Mark's Love Shack, Oh Hi Johnny, and You're Our Favorite Citizen take the idiosyncrasies of the film and run with them, crafting an environment of what we loved and laughed at. And I know it's fun to make fun of a bad movie, there's certainly no shortage of things to mock, but I feel the true quality of The Room is losing yourself in the insanity and being in complete awe that this somehow became a finished product. This game feels like it gets closer to capturing that brand of humor, and I like it more. If you've got a keen eye during the exploration and are in that perfect room state of mind, you may also come across a hidden spoon. There's a number of these hidden across the world, clearly an attempt at adding actual gameplay instead of interactive story, and I think the spoons are fine. They're cleverly hidden in the environment, all distinct and easily attainable. All you have to do is go there and click on them. You can do that at almost any time. It's not a bad way of getting the player to pay attention to their surroundings. The problem is, that's not the only collectible. Denny's diary entries, tape recordings, and things Johnny wishes he could unsee. The issue with these, besides not being physical things to collect, which just makes them feel less worthwhile, is that all of these are easily missable. You have to check Denny's diary each day, you have to buy the tape recorder early on and record everything, things that can't be undone. And granted, these are purely for achievements unlike the spoons, so there's no penalty for missing them. It's just irritating. You miss one diary entry, you'll see that empty slot the rest of the game, haunting you, taunting you. Things to unsee is the worst for me because there's no one place to check and no logic to the timings. I don't know how to get all of those. And even sticking close to the original story, some things did unfortunately get lost in translation. A lot of Tommy Wiseau's odd mannerisms of speaking do come across in the dialogue. Though that might just be me filling in the gaps with how many times I've seen the movie. I especially like the sporadic lack of proper commas, but not everything comes across in plain text, particularly when it comes to timing. I mean, look at the flower shop scene. Just in writing, can you tell that this is one of the most sublime pieces of cinematic insanity ever accepted as a decent take and put in a finished film? No, you need the full video and especially the audio.
It'll be $18.
Here you go. Keep the change. Hi, doggy.
You're my favorite customer.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
There is one excerpt that plays at a critical, honestly best possible moment, but it's the only one of its kind.
You're tearing me apart, Lisa!
However, what it can't quite replicate from the movie, it makes up for in additions. Like this part where you have to make sandwiches, nothing is stopping you from putting dish soap and a sponge on it, and Johnny sees nothing wrong with that. Or how the confrontation between Johnny and Mark versus Chris R is represented through what's essentially a Pokemon battle. Or that time I bought food on the way to bring Chris R to the police. Or the explanation for why Peter just stops appearing. Or the, no, not that part. It all comes to a head in the representation of the film's climax during Johnny's mild rampage. Here, he rages out and goes nuts. You can ruin the apartment the same way, but now you have the ability to go paint the town red. You can confront your boss for the promotion you never got, return to the shops, pet their dogs. I spent a while exploring and still only got about half of what you can do here. But you can also do normal stuff and get the normal dialogue, but with Johnny's anguished portrait. Make a sandwich.
Did it on my first playthrough, got me and my sister laughing as hard as any part of the movie.
There's also just a great flair to the mundane, but it's a bit inconsistent. Catch a football correctly and you get a great compliment each time. How about the swirling stars when Lisa puts on her red dress? And then there's the run through the Golden Gate Park, Johnny waking up each morning, the pushing match, this death that somehow reminds me of Metal Slug, this tiny, easily missable gag with the money. It's great, but I listed just about every example. Maybe it would have gotten old, but I think there's more potential that wasn't tapped.
I got the results of the test back. I definitely have a good game.
Yes, it's flawed, actually kinda deeply, but we're in a rare situation where that works. It's really difficult to make a game enjoyably bad, as Bubsy is currently learning, but you're forced into that kind of quality when you're making a game based on The Room. The game's perfectly functional, aside from a few pathfinding issues, and it's a flawless interpretation of the film. It feels like a real companion, celebrating Tommy Wiseau without glorifying him. Actually, it's kind of a miracle. It's self-aware without seeming desperate to recapture the magic. That's not something that ever happens. Give Tom Fulp credit for that. It helps that the game doesn't overstay its welcome. It's only an hour long. It would have dragged past that point, and it would have been too much for a Flash game. It's got the benefit of being allowed to use its medium as a reason for its shortcomings, and it's enough reason for me. Besides, I played this because I wanted more room. I'm not looking for something good. I just want something enjoyable, and I got it. I never felt like my time was being wasted or my gaming sense being tested. I got what I craved with a display of wonderful creativity and love. The Room tribute, you're
my favorite Flash game. Thanks a lot, bye.